Hello and welcome on in to the April episode of Strategy Game News. This month is looking like a fantastic month for fans of military RTS games, with plenty of releases to wishlist and look forward to. That being said, the March recap is, well, it's a hefty one. I don't know what's going on in the strategy game landscape right now, but I do know that I love it. So sit back, subscribe, and get your favorite snack. We're starting the recap and we're starting off strong. Right off the bat, we're diving into some of the most exciting news to come across my desk since 2019. Mount & Blade Bannerlord announced its first upcoming expansion, War Sails, on March 20th. War Sails will feature long-awaited naval combat and a new faction, the Nords. In addition, the base game will get narrative events and a stealth system, as well as a bunch of new weapons and fief management options. Players have been asking to see more from developer Tailworlds, and the studio acknowledged that in their recent Steam post, saying, "We realize that our communication has not met the level you had grown to expect from us, and while it has been a long time between updates for Bannerlord, the team has apparently not been sitting idle." Working on 2 projects over the last year, Tailworlds ultimately decided they weren't happy with one of them, intended to be a story-driven DLC, and instead decided to repackage some of the gameplay mechanics into upgrades for the base game. These upgrades will include the stealth system, which will allow players to further invest in the roguery skill and gameplay by infiltrating dungeons and hideouts without alerting an army. Distractions and concealing corpses will be key to pulling off an infiltration, and special attention will have to be paid to your movement, the time of day, and the layout of the map. I know a lot of people have been really keen for a more rogue-focused gameplay style, and this stealth system honestly is a requirement for that, so it's great to see it coming to the base game. But back to War Sails. This long-awaited expansion features naval combat, a mechanic not seen in Mount & Blade outside of mods since Viking Conquest. Players will be able to spec into their new role as captain by investing attribute points into nautical skills, as well as design their ship from 18 different choices. Furthermore, these ships will be able to be customized to the player's specific flavor of naval terror, with siege engines and rams. This system has also been built into the diplomacy of Calradia, with coastal towns and cities now facing the prospect of pirate invasion. Your town can grow rich from trade, or break and burn if they're unable to fend off the hungry fleets. And as stated, this expansion also features a brand new faction, the Nords, a Viking-inspired seafaring faction from the north of the continent. These warriors specialize in naval combat and are sure to give new captains a run for their dinars and their ship if caught unawares. Options have been added to the character creation screen to allow players to dress their new Nord character appropriately, and new companions have been added to the Taverns of Calradia for recruitment. Honestly, Bannerlord is a personal favourite of mine and is often the game you'll find me streaming over on Twitch, so to say I'm stoked about this update is an understatement. Frankly, there's a lot I didn't mention here. I highly recommend going over to the Steam update, I'll link it in the description below, to get a proper overview of this update, set to land later this year on June 17. Infection Free Zone, the zombie survival base builder from Jutsu Games and Games Operators, received a huge new update on March 8. In addition to a bunch of fixes and optimizations, new cities were included, extra map data was added, and small tweaks were made to gameplay. But the biggest changes came in the form of new buildings that will add an extra layer of complexity to your base management and terrain elevation. Players will now need to be mindful of their base and defense placement to fend off the hordes and the infected animals that were also added in this update. Amongst the buildings added are a car workshop, a forester hut, and everyone's favorite classic city building staple, the sawmill. If you're curious about the terrain changes, the devs recommend playing in Edinburgh or San Francisco to check them out. This update is available for all owners of Infection Free Zone to check out right now. Pompeii The Legacy got its first playtest on March 18, allowing players to check out this Roman-inspired city builder for the very first time. Pompeii The Legacy tasks the player with rebuilding, you guessed it, Pompeii, after its destruction via Mount Vesuvius. As the head of the family, the player will have to navigate the expectations of the government officials overseeing the rebuild of Pompeii, and construct a strong city from the ashes. This city builder has bigger ambitions with a robust trade and diplomacy system promised as the game continues development. The solo dev Sisia Games seems very passionate about the historical accuracy of figures portrayed and technology used. And honestly, I'm not sure you could make a historical city builder without that drive and passion. The playtest is currently open, so if you'd like to try your hand at managing a Roman city, you can jump over to Steam and check it out. Moving back in time now to an alternate version of the Interbellum era, Kaiserpunk released into 1.0 on March 22nd, having experienced a short delay after signing with their new publisher, Elder Entertainment. Kaiserpunk will drop you as the player into the tumultuous landscape of 1918, as the ruler of a city-state as it begins its expansion. You'll need to run your city, but be aware of military and economic strife as the political world rumbles and shifts around you in the post-war landscape. Diplomacy will be a big part of gameplay and requires careful strategic thinking and planning, earning the game the genre of grand city builder. This means that while at its heart Kaiserpunk is a city builder, it also isn't shy about stepping onto the world stage. You'll need to forge a city strong enough to impose its will on the recovering world, and you can do this through military might, diplomatic relations, or trade tariffs and sanctions. Kaiserpunk looks to be the best of both worlds in terms of city building and military strategy, so if that's your kind of game, jump over to Steam and check it out. From Frogsong Studios and publishers Strayfawn Publishing and Metaroot, River Towns, the casual puzzle strategy game, released on March 25. In River Towns, players will need to dredge up skills from their childhood to Tetris the heck out of each unique level. Deceptively intricate, various factors complicate the gameplay of River Towns and force the player to use the available space carefully while planning their future moves. You'll be able to see all of your upcoming pieces and will be rewarded for creating an airtight town while also working around objectives and within the constraints of the map. The bright, colourful art style is charming and captivating, while the soundtrack is calming and unobtrusive. A perfect accompaniment for the leaning back in chair, chin in hand pose I guarantee you'll find yourself doing as you contemplate different layouts. The animations for placing pieces and the sound design that goes with it will scratch the necessary part of your brain, and the drive to beat your own high score will see you replaying levels over and over. But it's not just your high score you'll be aiming to beat. River Towns features a leaderboard that automatically imports your Steam friends list and displays their scores in-game, creating the ultimate challenge to incite you to find the perfect combo. And truly, nothing compares to locking in that final piece and receiving all of the stacking bonuses. For lovers of casual strategy, River Towns is quick to learn and quick to load. You can dive on in via the demo or the released version right now. New Cycle, the in-depth post-apocalyptic city builder from Core Engage, continues to roll out the updates during its early access phase, with the experimental branch receiving Alpha 25-300.01, catchy name, on March 26. This huge new update brings with it some long-awaited features that players have been looking forward to, including a new coastal biome, the addition of ships, 4 new maps, and a ton of new structures, products and raw materials, and new conditions required to move between cycles. This will be followed soon by another large update that will revise the development tree, one of the most extensive development trees I've ever seen in this genre, add more story, and expand your regional management options as well. For players who don't want to lose their current save, this update should be moved to the stable branch soon. Otherwise, you can check it out by opting into the experimental branch via the properties and betas option on Steam. And closing out our March recap, yes, we are still in the recap, Town to City got a brand new gameplay trailer. Recently announced in February by Galaxy Grove and Quali, the devs of Station to Station continue to show off their cozy voxel vibes as development progresses. Town to City will see the player create and manage a 19th century Mediterranean town, with an emphasis on placement and customization, allowing them to create the town of their dreams. But this cozy little city builder won't just look gorgeous, it'll also involve a full campaign and research trees, leaning into the spirit of the genre outside of just the visuals. That being said, the photo mode is sure to result in a few pics that give Tiny Grove a run for its cozy money. It's really awesome to see a gameplay trailer so soon after announcement, and I for one am super looking forward to getting my hands on this one and chilling the heck out. So if you thought March was jam-packed, wait until you see the upcoming month of April. Armored Brigade II is set to release on April 8th from Vitica Studios and Slytherin. This Cold War-era military RTS focuses on building upon the first game by introducing new real-world maps, over 1,000 ground and air units, and full campaigns. Strategy and tactics reign supreme in this title, and the player will have to carefully consider their every move as they take on skirmishes or progress through the campaign. The real-world terrain maps will also add an element of authentic simulation as the player navigates the terrain to position their units and attempt different strategies. A dynamic weather system has also been added, which will affect gameplay in terms of combat capabilities. Fans of authentic military RTS will hopefully find a gem with this title, and it won't be too long until you can test your mettle in the Cold War. Armored Brigade II will release on April 8th. Age of Empires Fall will receive a brand new DLC also on April 8th. Knights of Cross and Rose will add 2 new factions to the game, as well as a campaign featuring historically accurate battle settings. Historical Battles is a new feature that will allow the player a glimpse into pivotal moments in history, with 4 missions designed to challenge the player and push them to become their strategic best. The 2 new factions, the Knights Templar and the House of Lancaster, will also throw a spanner into the build orders of veteran players, with new units and mechanics being introduced by both. Both civilizations will draw on unique strengths, adding an extra challenge to every battlefield. This DLC will also add 10 new maps to the skirmish and multiplayer modes, sure to freshen up gameplay after the base game released in 2021. Knights of Cross and Rose is the second gameplay-focused DLC following the Sultan's Ascend release in 2023. It's a good month to be a military RTS gamer. Commandos Origins will release on April 9 from Claymore Game Studios and Calypso Media. This real-time tactics game will take place in World War II as a sequel to the original Commandos series. Working solo or with a buddy in co-op, the player will embark upon high-risk missions to free the world from growing occupation. The gameplay of Commandos features many different paths to victory, deferring to the player's preferred style, whether that be via stealth or explosions. With a stunning realistic art style and a grounded color palette, Commandos Origins features more than 10 missions across the span of the globe, with various objectives for the players to complete. This one is already open for pre-orders and will be releasing on PS5 and Xbox at the same time as PC, so make sure to jump onto your preferred platform and check it out. Next up is the ambitious and in-depth management sim Hollywood Animal from We Appy Wholesome. Stepping back into the roiling times of the 1930s, you'll head up the newest movie studio rising upon Hollywood's barren landscape. As the Great Depression threatens, you'll be pushed to your limits as you attempt to bring a bit of cheer to the masses against the odds. And what odds they will be. Hollywood Animal doesn't shy from the bleaker aspects of the time, with blackmail, assault, addiction, and murder pretty prevalent in your operations. Do be aware that there can be some confronting themes laced throughout the gameplay. From developing scripts to pre-production all the way through to film distribution, you will have an insane amount of control over which aspects of filmmaking you spend money on and prioritize. Build on-site studios to control more of the pre- and post-production while researching new technologies to stay abreast of the competition in sound and video. But don't neglect your staff while you're at it. Bribe actors and production staff with gifts and luxuries, safer working conditions, and cold hard cash. You'll also need to manage your connections outside of the studio, with government officials and mobsters all wanting a piece of the pie. To which extent you work with them is up to you, but no connection is without consequence. Even just from the robust demo, it's clear that Hollywood Animal is setting itself up as one of the most ambitious management sims I've seen in a long time. And it already has a lot of polish to it. The Art Deco theme is carried across all UI, is reflected in the mellow undertones of the soundtrack, and the design intent is evident from the opening screen. I forgot I was playing a demo and, frankly, spent a lot more time on this one than I normally do in the research stage. So far, I've experienced a very strong core gameplay loop, with rewards just sparse enough to make me want to dive deeper and do better. Hollywood Animal is super high on my anticipated list, and if you're a fan of management sims, this one should definitely be on your radar. It releases in 1.0 on April 10th. D.O.T Defence is the co-op action RTS being self-published by Rattleaxe Games on April 11th. A little bit different from other titles on this list, as is evidenced by its art style. D.O.T features up to 4-player co-op, short matches, and an easy-to-learn gameplay style. With bright, colourful graphics and a frantic overall pace, DOT will see the players engage in different kinds of battles, from wave defense, 1v1 and PvE. There is nothing too serious about DOT, which is sometimes a very welcome break in this sphere. Honestly, the entire game smacks of one big nostalgia hit. The devs do recommend playing with a controller, but I hit this one with keyboard and mouse and managed just fine. DOT will be initially launching into early access as the devs collect and collate feedback for the full release. And not to worry, there's a little something in April for lovers of sci-fi. Outworld Station, self-published by Trick Jump Games, will be releasing into early access on April 22nd. This sci-fi automation base builder will see the player construct a space station for the purpose of mining valuable resources from nearby asteroids. You'll need to establish your production lines and optimize their output while manually collecting asteroids and dropping them into your atomizer using your drone, which is also quite handy for fending off enemy raiders and meteor strikes. From there, you'll need to connect your various stations to your central hub and ensure resources flow smoothly from one area to another. Efficiency is key in Outworld Station, and you'll need to pay close attention to fulfill your orders. With heaps of tech to unlock and lots of space to explore, you'll be kept busy as you establish your foothold amongst the stars. There are plenty of beings who don't want you in this corner of the neighborhood. You'll need to defend your base from raiders and alien forces or risk losing everything. But don't worry, you won't need to do it all alone if you don't want to. Outworld Station will feature online PvE co-op, so you and up to 3 friends will be able to build an enormous automatic production behemoth together. I quite enjoyed the Next Fest demo of this one. The soundtrack in particular adds a lot of atmosphere and tone to the game. I also really enjoyed being able to use my drone as a hands-on mechanic in the game, rather than being the omnipotent overlord watching my production chains do production chain things. The concept of co-op really intrigues me, so I'll absolutely be gathering some friends to try this out with. Outworld Station will release into early access on April 22nd. And closing out April's run of strategy releases is Tempest Rising from Slipgate Ironworks, 3D Realms, and Knight's Peak. Tempest Rising sees the player engage in global warfare in the wake of nuclear devastation. Playing as part of the Global Defence Forces, the GDF, or the Tempest Dynasty, this sci-fi RTS pits faction against faction in the race to control the mysterious Tempest vines that have emerged across the globe. There will be 2 full single-player campaigns, one for each faction, with 11 missions apiece, as well as multiplayer skirmishes and custom games. Fans of classic base-building RTS games from the 90s and 2000s will be super familiar with the playstyle, adapted to modern engines and gameplay styles. Tempest Rising is currently available for pre-order, but will release on April 25. So that was March and April. Frankly, I'm a little afraid of the rest of this year because my Steam list is now longer than my IRL bucket list. I am super looking forward to Commandos Origins. I didn't grow up with Commandos games, but that art style just calls to me. I also really love RPGs in this style and exploring all the different ways to complete the missions. I want to hear what games you're looking forward to most down in the comment section below, and as always, if you'd like me to focus on something specific or if you think I missed something in March and April, do feel free to email me at reneskyplays@gmail.com. Also, a massive thank you to everyone who sent me well wishes for the wisdom teeth removal. I have been successfully excised of any and all wisdom I may have once possessed, and I never want to see pumpkin soup ever again. That's all from me. I will see you in May, which is 1 month closer to June, which is 1 month closer to Bannerlord. Tail Worlds, please. I need it. Recap, and we're starting off strong. I keep looking at the microphone, and we're starting off strong. Why did I wink? Did I wink? I don't have my glasses, I can't see shit. March's recap. That's not right. No. And I can't see my script properly because I don't wear my glasses in these episodes. So we're gonna wing it. 1 month, no. Mascara doesn't go in eyeballs.